So my number 10 can be called a nostalgia pick or whatever, but my number 10 is EA Sports NCAA Football 25. We've been waiting, 11 years now for a new damn college football game. And look, I know people was complaining that it wasn't gonna be the same game it was as far as like it was in 14, but just embrace the fact that we have a new college football game, and we don't have to like go to Operation Sports or nothing to like download the roster. Like, look, we was in the trenches, you know what I'm saying, back then, trying to get these names and stuff. But like for the most part, everybody, you know what I'm saying, every college football player is in there. Now, I will say this though, this is what pissed me off. And this is also why it's like number 10. Like you couldn't even just like create a regular person and put them like on the school. Like you had to like go find somebody who didn't like, you know, sign the NIL and like edit yourself over them and like hope that they was playing the same. That irritated me because sometimes I like to create a person, put them on a squad, and then, you know, just go do my franchise and do it like that. So that was like one gripe that I had. But I mean, look, it was amazing. Like the game is fun. Like I got what I wanted out of it. You know what I'm saying? Now they had Colorado OP on there. Like they had Shedeur on there, like as a combination of 2004 Michael Vick with like Tom Brady accuracy. You know what I'm saying? So that was something. But yeah, man, my number 10 is EA Sports NCAA Football 25.
Okay. Very good number 10. We may be talking about that a little sooner on. My number 10 is a game that I'm surprised I have here. It's only here because it just recently came out towards the end of the year. It's not a style of game I normally play, but with the time I put into it and with some of the crazy stuff that you can do in this game, I was like, okay, this can also be a quote unquote comfy game, depending on how you describe comfy. It is Path of Exile 2. So here's the thing, right? When Diablo 4 came out last year, I played it. I don't want to say the mindlessness of it, but I enjoy kind of like the rhythm of just like, okay, going through fighting bad guys. You know, I don't really care too much about the story, even though like Blizzard, Diablo 4 has some of the most prettiest cutscenes I've ever seen in any game. Like they be gory, they be nasty, but they be pretty.
And on Game Pass now too, by the way.
Yes, it is. Yeah, ever since they did the acquisition, it does show up on Game Pass, which I'm mad because I bought it right before it came on Game Pass. But that's fine. Yeah, it's like, you know what, whatever. But with Path of Exile, there was the original Path of Exile, which I hadn't realized had been out since I want to say 2013, 2014. So it's been out for a while, like a decade. And it's basically their version of it. If I'm not mistaken, I believe some of the people who worked on Diablo 2 are a part of this development team. So it kind of makes sense. And I've heard previews of people who played, and it's like, yeah, it'll be 10 out of 10 game of the year. It's still in early access. So the way they have it is like there's 6 acts. So right now you get 6 classes and 3 of the first 6 acts. And then when the full game comes out, I believe there's maybe 2 more classes. You also have things called ascendancies, which is once you get your character to a certain level, you can like, you know, make them into this or make them into that. As of now, I think they have the basic, you know, warrior, monk, witch, warlock, or spellcaster, ranger, and mercenary, which is basically just, you know, bolt gun, arrow gun, whatever. I don't know.
Say the friendly YouTube word when you say it.
But overall, it's a super fun game. I want to say, I think the main thing why I jive with this more than Diablo, which I didn't realize until maybe a couple of days ago. So when it comes to Diablo, it's like, oh, you're basically fighting the devil. Like it's like very in your face. That stuff doesn't bother me, but also I don't want to see that shit a lot. You know, it's just like, oh, devil horns, demonic stuff. Whereas in this game, I'm honestly not 100% sure who you're fighting. Like the game starts, it's kind of messed up how the game starts. So you pick your class, right? It's like the 6 of y'all, and y'all are on like nooses about to get hanged for doing something against the king or whatever. And then it's like it shocked me when it first happened. So you pick your character, you pick your name, and then they drop you, and like your rope just breaks. So you fall under the stage and you jump into a river. Everybody else doesn't. And then after that, it's just like, all right, well, I'm alive. Let me go do some stuff. So I'm like I said, I'm not 100% sure what the story is. Apparently, it's about like trying to fight this evil king who's like doing bad stuff. But you are fighting like, you know, witches, goblins, ghouls. So it's not as demonic as Diablo, which, you know, a game called Diablo, you get what you expect.
Right.
But yeah, once you start wrapping your head around different builds and the stuff you can do in this game, it's like right now, my main character is like a witch, and basically witches, they have minions, little skeletons they can run around. But I've converted her to an ice witch, so I'm just throwing these giant Iceman ice balls in front of me, freezing everything. And then my minions is just beating the crap out of people, and then I'm throwing bone shards at people. Once I get her leveled up, she gonna get this ability to, once she got you frozen, she can snap you and break you like Thanos. And it's yeah. So again, it is early access. I did pay the $30 to play it. Once the game fully comes out, it will be free to play. I believe it is going to be cross-platform as well, but it is one of those games that you can just kind of chill, maybe throw on a podcast or something in the background, you know, get you some levels, get you some shards, to get you some new abilities. And it's one of those things, like if you want to tinker and just make some cool builds and stuff, you definitely have that ability. But that's my number 10, Path of Exile 2.
Man, I did not know that game without the first game was out that damn.
I didn't either, because I've heard of it, I've played it, but I was just
me
like,
too.
yeah, but yeah, I looked at it, it's like, oh, 2013, 2014, okay.
Okay. All right. My number 9 is. So luckily, it wasn't just really that many of these that came out this year that I can remember for the most part. But my number 9 is going to be Silent Hill 2, which is obviously a remake of Silent Hill 2, the original game. But I don't know about you, but I was a little skeptical of this at first, considering I think it was like Bloober is the people that made it, and you know they kind of have a little bad track history. But to be honest, like I kind of like the Layers of Fear games, and that Medium game didn't suck. I just feel like the way they presented it and the final product was two different games. You know what I'm saying?
Like they could have represented it better.
Yeah, because if they would have told me it wasn't gonna be like basically nothing that you gonna fight, you know what I'm saying, as far as like monsters and then you just go, yeah, they just like misrepresented the game wrong. So I feel like that's where they messed up at. But as far as like the quality of the games though, like I enjoyed it. But yeah, as far as Silent Hill 2 go, I mean, you know the story. It's still centered around James, you know what I'm saying? Going to go find his dead wife. But I will say, like, the updated visuals and the updated voice acting for sure definitely was great. I will say it did a good job of not, like, I guess disrespecting, quote unquote, like the original. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like how the Resident Evil 4 remake and, you know, did with the original. Like, it was one of those, like, it was a good homage to it, and you can like go back and honestly you can be like, hey, this could be the definitive version of this game if you want to make it that way. But yeah, that's my number 9, Silent Hill 2. Job well done, but at some point we just gonna have to like chill out without the damn remakes and reboots. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, they starting to run out low key, especially Capcom.
For real though. Start throwing Resident Evil 5 out here as a remake. That's how you know you at the bottom of the barrel, fam.
I will say, this is one of those games where like I know I'm not gonna play it, but like I've seen other people play it and watch reviews of it. I didn't realize the main character was such a horrible person.
Yes. Like when you find out why his wife is dead, like,
yeah, I was just like, damn, all right, cool. Well, shoot, I went never got that back then, but you know, I guess, you know, updated graphics can do a whole lot for storytelling, can't it?
And man, say Pyramid Head is even uglier than yeah, bro. Yeah. But yeah, that's my number.
All right, so my number 9 was your number 10, EA Sports College Football 25. Now, as y'all know, I'm one of those people, one of those sports people who, no matter what, for some reason, I'll admit that I have a problem. I buy the Maddens, I buy the 2K every year, to get my sports fix every August and September. But this year with college football, like you said, we've been waiting 11, 12 years for a new one. They finally got the whole NIL situation, done. So now we can play the game with the likenesses of, for the most part, most of like the major colleges, people that you see on Saturday and, during the week. So here's the thing. When this game in Madden came out, I was like, this will be my side game. Madden's going to be my main thing. I have online leagues that I'm in with this and Madden, and in my head I'm thinking like, all right, Madden's gonna be my main focus and this will just be a side thing I play when I don't feel like playing Madden. Oh boy, how I was wrong. This is a very well-made game. There were some things, because as I said, I play in an online league, an online 32 user league. So there's that. You got to recruit, you got to build your team. And kind of the thing I like about this league is like, you just don't start off at Alabama or Georgia. You have to start off with the two-star rated school or lower. So I started with Middle Tennessee State. Had to work my way up, went to Virginia, and now I'm at Georgia, even though I started 0-2 this season. But that's
like the real life team.
Yeah, pretty much. I had to play two people that I played in the playoffs the season before, but I digress. This game, basically, if you want to live out your fantasy of being a head football coach of your favorite school, you can do that offline. They got what is it called, the Road to Glory mode, which I haven't played too much. Online plays well, and surprisingly enough, it plays different than Madden. I can't really say how, but if you play this and then you play Madden, you can definitely tell it's like two different games. I don't want to say it's more of an arcadey feel, even though I feel like in this game, which it kind of is in college, there's more chances for, big play opportunities as opposed to Madden. But, that's just how college is. But yeah, if you have any affinity for college, if you want to take your favorite school, like I got me a Baylor and a North Texas offline dynasty that I'm trying to get them right, get them, somewhere, try to get them bowl eligible and trying to work that. The whole recruiting thing is good. You have different, you've always had different archetypes, but now they actually matter, which I've recently learned is like, hey, you got a field general. So you got you like a Peyton Manning. He's going to throw dots. He's going to have good things. But then you got you a scrambler, like, like a Baker Mayfield or Michael Vick, where if you need to get out the pocket, they got a badge. They have badges in this game, but it's not as intrusive as it is in 2K. But, they got a badge where he can scramble a lot faster. So if you got two people bearing down on him, he can just go right up the middle and get you a nice little game. Bunch of different playbooks. I made the thing where like I had to go through majority of the playbooks to see what I want to use. And for the most part, if you pick Navy, you run in the triple option. Surprisingly, they actually have really good pass formations in Navy. I didn't expect that. But yeah, pretty much like I said, if you enjoy sports games, you enjoy college games, I want to say this did what, like a million, like in the first week or maybe the first couple of days. It sold really well. I will be interested to see next year's game, how that does now that this has been out, and how much of a fan base. I think it will have a fan base. I think it'll be another thing where it'll just be another pillar next to Madden. I will also say the Ultimate Team in this game is way more giving than it is in Madden. I don't think I've spent any money besides the pre-order stuff that I got, and like I got like an 86, 87 overall team just from free packs and just like playing maybe once or twice a week. So if you are into that, this, the Ultimate Team in this, I definitely say is better than Madden as far as trying to get you a good team, build up, and being able to stay in online, or if you just want to play the offline modes. But yeah, that's my number 9, EA Sports College Football 25.
Definitely can't go wrong with that. And then, I mean, to be honest with you, like, the thing that I've always liked about college football, even back then, was the fact that it did feel different than playing Madden. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if it's just like the college atmosphere or, you know what I'm saying, like, or what it is, but like it just like felt faster. And I also will say, especially with 25, overalls definitely matter. Like, you can definitely see the difference between a 5-star and like a 3-star. You know what I'm saying? So that is one thing that I definitely noticed like this year, like on that game, was like, no, the rankings matter. Like, if his deep throw accuracy is the 78, yeah, but don't throw it.
he gonna throw it down there. You know, I don't know if it's gonna be there or to the defender, but he gonna get it down
Yeah,
if he got the arm strength. I will say, when you say atmosphere, the places that you expect to play like playing at Penn State, playing at Miami, playing at Clemson, don't be the away team playing there. I've one time in my league, I think I was Virginia, and I played at Clemson. I tell you, that was the most frustrating, because you know they got the crowd noise, but then they bring in the thing like where the screen shakes. Cool.
Yeah,
they bring in
trash.
They bring in the thing where like you bring up your play art and it's squiggly lines. They bring up the thing where it's like the thing that annoys me the most, and I'm probably sure this is just because of a coaching ability I don't have. Whole team got the little code icon next to it when I get on offense, first drive, and I'm just like. And the thing about it is, like, you know, you want to call a hot route. Well, you can't, because your receiver has a question mark. So you can't change their route. You know, you want to put your running back into block. You're like, hey, bro, block. He's like, what? So you got to
doing this.
Exactly. So you got to call block 3 times for it to work. You may get a false start because you tried to audible too many times. It's just, it's cool. I hope they tone it down just a bit next year. Maybe keep that stuff offline and online, you know, maybe have a few of them. But yeah, the atmosphere, if you're into that, you know, Roll Tide, you know, Michigan, all those home stadiums, they are perfectly recreated in this game.
Go Blue. So my number 8, ironically enough, is kind of funny now that I think about it. So this has been one hell of a good year for fighting games, like, no lie. So my number 8 is actually Tekken 8. So I will say this, even though it is number 8, easily one of the smoothest fighting games that I played this year. Like, mechanic wise, you know what I'm saying? Roster, fantastic, all that good stuff. The thing that irritated me the most was the Heihachi DLC. 1, I didn't want to have to pay for it. But 2, it's just the fact that, bruh, y'all ain't gotta resurrect him you know what I'm saying? Like, we thought we was done. We thought we were done, son. Nope. Heihachi resurrects. Like, nah. But besides that, though, like, honestly, yeah, this was definitely one of the best fighting games. It kind of gave me like that when Street Fighter 6 came out, and you know what I'm saying? Everybody was just like, ooh, yeah, you know, this one might not win all the awards, but it was definitely gameplay wise the best one. That's definitely how I feel about like Tekken 8, and the fact that, I mean, basically the story mode was just a big ass a global battle royal of like all the Tekken characters. So I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Bring back Tekken Bowling for all the ones that know. But yeah, like overall though, man, Tekken 8 was definitely one of the favorite fighting games I played, but obviously not the favorite because it's only number 8. But yeah, fantastic fighting game. You can try to catch it when it goes on sale, but that game never goes on sale for the most part. So
look, you see how long Tekken 7 was out for,
bruh.
That mug didn't start going on sale until like Tekken 8 got announced, I think.
Exactly. So I mean, sorry to everybody who ain't played it yet, but yeah, nah, definitely Tekken 8 was my number 8 game of 2024.
Very well said. Very well said. Well, I mean, I might as well just tag myself in because that's my number 8 is Tekken 8 as well. So the funny thing is, growing up, I was a Street Fighter, mainly played Street Fighter, you know, Marvel vs. Capcom. Those were like my go-to fighting games, along with a little bit of Smash Brothers sprinkled in. Didn't really play that much Tekken. I played a little bit of Tekken 7, like I said, when it went on sale after Tekken 8 got announced to get ready. So when Tekken 8 came out, I was just like, all right, I'm gonna start fresh. I love grapplers, so of course I played King, and so here's the thing. I feel like I know I learned that a lot of people hate King players, but when I played Tekken 8, I've fell off a little bit now, but I'm slowly trying to get myself back into it. It kind of feels like I'm taking a calculus test. Like it feels like I got to use my brain a lot. Like for y'all that don't know, I've been in this huge kick of fighting games for probably the past 2 years. I have a bunch of hitboxes, which are those levelers controllers with all the buttons and everything. So I've been down a rabbit hole. And when this game came out, I was like, it felt like when it's one of the things where like it's hard and it's rewarding, but you got to use your brain to play it, especially if you want to like play online like I have. So when I spent like the first 2 weeks of just doing nothing but practicing King combos, practicing inputs, grabs, and then I finally went online and I was like, okay, I win a match and then I just get destroyed 5 matches in a row and then I got to go back and practice. It's one of the best things about fighting games is like getting over that plateau. But with Tekken 8, it's great. It's a great game. I definitely see why. It is one of those games where they say that like if you're a legacy player, meaning if you've been playing since like the original Tekkens, a lot of that memory and muscle memory carries over. Like you said, the story mode was just a big gigantic thing, like just without Akuma this time, I guess. I don't know. We got
basically, yeah.
we got Clive, so I guess we got one, guest character from outside the Tekken fandom. The online mode, they had their little like side story mode, kind of like Street Fighter had, where they're like, oh, we're gonna go to the arcade, and isn't Tekken great? And I was just like, all right, whatever. It served its purpose, but yeah, like I said, I play on PC, so I've been playing there. I have friends that play it on PS5 and consoles that it runs well there as well. We'll probably have a new DLC announcement soon sometime because they should have the new fighter season coming out now that Clive has come out. But yeah, overall Tekken 8, an amazing game. It's like I said, it's like taking a calculus test. It's like I feel dumb when I'm playing, but then again I also feel smart when I was like, that should work, and then it works, and I'm just like, yes. But that's my number 8, Tekken 8 for this year.
Nothing irritated me more than when, all right, I'm finna get this dub. Then all of a sudden, the brand new heat system activates for the opponent, and next thing you know, I'm dead. So yeah, that irritated me. But actually, the heat system was like actually pretty good when it's not used to get.
Oh yeah, I had to learn that. Also, I guess what is it called? The easy button mode that you can just turn on mid match. I played a Gen player, and I was like, okay, doing that. This was when I was first learning. He turned that easy mode. He was doing something that was like very spammy and cheesy, and I was just like, all right, let me learn how to defend against this. I've learned that Tekken is basically a big knowledge check game.
Yeah.
So it's basically just like, you got to know what to do against this character. You got Dragunov, don't let him grab you. Don't let him do that Superman punch to you and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely fun. I will say it is a bit more, what's the word to look for? A bit more involved if you're trying to play like online or be decent at it. But it definitely is. I would say this is definitely the most beginner friendly Tekken, probably, with all the stuff that they've added in a while. Yeah.
Okay, so number 7. So my number 7 might cause controversy. Well, not really. I mean, maybe for the producers because they like to write acceptance speeches before they even have a video game out. But my number 7 is Black Myth Wukong. And bruh, first of all, it feel like this game has been in development for like almost 10 years or something at this point, because I remember when they first was talking about it years ago, and I forgot about it until what was that, like last year or 2 years ago when that trailer came out and they finally said they was doing something about it. But so the best way I could describe it, it's kind of a Souls-like game, obviously, but I will say it feels more like straight up action wise. You know what I'm saying? It does feel like a little bit quicker as far as like a Souls-like game go. Now, the thing that really gravitated me toward this game was the fact that it's basically based off of Chinese mythology. So that's basically the main selling point. But I will say this though. If they do make a second one, I feel like there are certain mechanics in the game that they didn't really dive, as deep into it as they could have, you know what I'm saying? Because especially when it comes to certain boss fights. But like overall story-wise though, it was cool. But, and it's gonna pain for me to say this wouldn't have been like my game of the year, this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was great to play. I will say that as far as like, I guess Souls, like, and I really hate that we are at the point in video games to where we got to categorize games as Souls like now, but this is kind of what this was. Originally, you wouldn't have thought that because they kind of like tried to make it seem like that's not what we're doing. But once you get down to the meat and potatoes of it, you're just a faster paced Souls like game, which is fine because y'all did things very well. But if y'all get a second one, just go deeper into the mechanics so you can actually differentiate yourself. You know what I'm saying? From all the Dark Souls like game that's out. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's gonna sound crazy, but if I had to like even like choose between this and Elden Ring, I would probably like still choose Elden Ring.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of like how I'm at where I'm at with it, and that's why it's like number 7. But it was a fantastic game though. Like if somebody was to be like, hey, this is like my top 3 games of the year, I can see that. But like for me, it's just number 7. But yeah, number 7, Black Myth Wukong. Do better in the sequel.
Very well said. It's funny enough because when you said that, I looked at my honorable mentions and then I remembered I took off Black Myth Wukong because, like you said, I played the game. I enjoyed it. It's one of those I do want to get back to because I do want to get more into the mechanics. But when I was playing it, I was just like, I get it, but also it's like, I like you said, I don't think it's like game of the year material. Just because it's like, I feel like it's stuff that's kind of been done before. And you know, in a mega sense, I feel like it's like you said, what like the thing, honestly, the thing that kind of it reminds me the most of is like a Stellar Blade, gameplay wise. Just maybe a little bit more fast paced, you know, different settings, different characters, but it was fun. I do want to get back to it and at least give it another good effort before I decide if I'm gonna finish it or not. But I can definitely see why it's on your top 10.
Yeah, like I said, it was fun, and I'll say this too. Also, I think the fact that, you know, in the land of like remakes and reboots, it was kind of good to like have an original IP game, you know what I'm saying, come out to where you just didn't really know too much about it, you know, like, so that was another thing that like appealed to me too, was the fact that, all right, I mean, you know, I don't really know too much about Journey to the West, which is what it was kind of like based upon, but you know, like it was, like I said, it was fun, but it's nothing that I would like honestly go back and play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I got you. Because I don't think we really get too many games based, like, you know, there's Dragon Ball Z, Goku, you know, he's based off of that and some other characters, but I don't think we've had like a specific, hey, this is Sun Wukong, this is his game. Like the only thing that comes to mind, and I think it's just more of like he was kind of designed as him, was Enslaved Odyssey to the West.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
But I think that was just more of like an interpretation. It wasn't like actually like, hey, this is Sun Wukong and this is, you know, how he got so OP. Basically.
Man,
but yeah. So for my number 7, this is a game that I bought just because I wanted to play something a little bit different. You know, I didn't really have, I'm not gonna say I didn't have too much high hopes for it, but I didn't expect it to kind of grab me the way that it did. It's everybody's game of the year, Astrobot. The one thing I can say about this game, and like I said, you know, when it comes to like, I guess what, 3D platformers, like some people say, and I actually agree that this is the best non-Mario game that has probably come out in a while. This shit is just fun. Like, if you want to get childlike wonderment as somebody who's like in their 30s or who's older, if you just want to get like that feeling, something similar to that feeling that you got when you were like, you know, younger and you were playing, you know, Super Mario 64 or just playing games back in the day, is just like this game is just like fun. Like it's aesthetic, the way it uses the motion, the rumble effect for the DualSense, also all the Easter eggs of different characters that you base, like they go deep. It's like, PlayStation, you remember you had that IP? Okay, all right, I see you. And yeah, but again, it's just like this, to me, this is what should be a quote unquote system seller for the PS5. Like, if you don't have a PS5 and you want to play this and you enjoy these type of games, this is definitely one to get. I'm actually surprised because, you know, the last game was the VR game, or the PS4 game that came with the PS4. Astrobot's Rescue.
Yeah, I forgot all about that too.
Yeah, which was basically like a 2-hour. No, that came with the PS5. So yeah, so that was like basically a demo, kind of to showcase what the PS5 and the controller can do, and the fact that they were able to go out and make a full game out of it and show homage to all their, you know, first party titles, third party titles, things that you just look at as like, yeah, that's Sony, and just have it all integrated. Also, I think it's kind of funny that some people think that like the main villain is supposed to represent Xbox because he's like a big green alien, and like,
right. I mean, aliens are,
but also like his ship has red rings around.
Nah, I ain't gonna lie, that part killed me. That was hilarious.
So that was kind of funny. But yeah, Astrobot is just one of those games that you just sit there, you smile and play. He's like, you know what? I feel good playing this. But that's my number 7, Astrobot.
Well, I might as well just keep it going because that's actually my number 6 game, was Astrobot. So, I mean, just to like piggyback off of what you said, I mean, like you said, the game is just fun, bro. Like, it kind of made me feel like I felt when Little Big Planet came out on PS3, and that's kind of like the vibes it give me. One time for Sackboy, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what this feels like. This feels like the golden age of like platform games too. It kind of made me feel like I did when I was like first playing Crash Bandicoot, or hell, like when the first Ratchet and Clank and Jack and Dexter games came out. You know what I'm saying? Like that era of like video games. So, and like you said, what they did with like the haptic feedback on that controller, bro, like easily one of the best uses of the PS5 controller, like of any game that done came out. But I mean, yeah, man, as far as like if you love 3D platformers, like it ain't really no point to repeat like basically everything that you said, because I really just honestly agree with everything. Like it was just, I can see how it was everybody's like game of the year, because I got people that don't even really just play video games like that, but they was playing Astrobot, you know what I'm saying, on PS5 and was enjoying it. So that's kind of really odd that you need to know about like how entertaining that game was. But I will say, even though I don't really care about like stuff like game of the year and like things like that, them winning that does kind of like, maybe that'll show like, hey, you know, you don't always have to just worry about making a game beautiful, you know what I'm saying? Like just go back to making video games fun. You know, like you can still be successful with just a fun video game, and that's like one of the best things about like Astrobot. It's just a fun ass game to play. So yeah, that was my number 6. That was hilarious. That was your number 7. So yeah, good segue.
Thank you. I'm probably sure that'll happen 1 or 2 more times before we get to the end of this. But going into my number 6, this was a game. This is another game that I am royally mad at myself that I did not finish, even though I put a lot of time into it. This came out in February. It's from a studio that's done some very cool, I don't want to say novel book type games, but they have a very cool art style. It is going to be Unicorn Overlord. Overlord? Is it Overlord? Yeah, Overlord. I had a mistype. Anywho, Unicorn Overload. So this game, the best way I could describe this game is it is a strategy RPG in a sense where you, for the most part, you were basically building an army and you were battling an evil king who, took over your kingdom from your mother and, thought you were dead, and now you got to come back to take what's rightfully yours. So the way this game works is you have units. So it's kind of like I would say it's kind of like a mix between a real-time strategy game and a turn-based RPG. So you basically have these, like, let's say 6 units you can deploy during a mission, and you can have, I want to say, up to 4 or 6 people you got to like build up. But you have different archetypes. So you got your archer, you got your mage, you got your cleric, you got your big shield guy, like different things, and they have different things. So everything is kind of predetermined. So, once you go into a battle, it'll be like, hey, you have a 62% chance of winning this battle, or you got a 100% chance. And then you go through the battle, they show all the animations, they show all the dialogue, and then if you don't kill them, then you just kind of push them back, and then you can go back. It's a lot of mechanics in this game, and I'm making it sound a lot more difficult than it is, but its art style is so beautiful. It's like this hand-drawn watercolor-esque design, and the voice acting is really good in this game. Overall, it's a fun game. It's one of the games that I played and I was just like, you know what? I'm really enjoying this, especially once you get down to the nitty-gritty of unlocking different archetypes and putting them in your party and then trying to, beat these different levels. And the story, for the most part, is pretty straightforward. As I said, evil king took over this kingdom. You got to get it back. He starts off by kidnapping like your best friend. So the first quarter of the story is basically you going to go get her back and things that surround that and building up your team. And it's a fun game. I'm super mad this did not come to PC because I would have loved to play this on. Yeah, I know, right? Only PS5 and Switch. I don't know, but
that's weird. Like
this,
what?
Exactly. Like usually these type of games that come out, they'll do PC, but they just won't do Xbox. For some reason, this is only PS5 and Switch. I got it on PS5. It's fun there. If you want to play it mobily, you can definitely get it on Switch. But overall, it's an amazing game. The only thing I will say, and depending on who you are, this may be a negative. It may not. You may not care. Vanillaware is the developer for this game. They made 13 Sentinels. Yeah, 13 Sentinels. I forget, it's escaping me now. They're older games that they made, but they're known for making these kind of style art games. You got to do a little bit better in representing women in this game. Like compared to their older games, which they were wilding older games, this is a little more tame. But if you look up the witch idol animation in this game, it's just like don't get me wrong, I'm a guy too, but sometimes being a little bit more modest can help. But other than that, if you can kind of, if that doesn't bother you, which you can, fast forward it or just don't use that specific class. Overall, it's an amazing game. If you are into, like I said, strategy style RPGs, this is definitely a good one, whether you get it full price or on sale. But that's my number 6, Unicorn Overload.
Okay. See, the one thing that I do like about you, though, is the fact that you do be playing like a bunch of games that I would probably either never heard of or probably never even thought about playing. So,
I don't finish them, but I'll play them.
that definitely sounds interesting. So, my number 5, we're gonna continue with the fighting game trend, is Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero. I mean, to be honest with you, this is probably easily my favorite Dragon Ball Z game since Budokai 3. Like, honestly, Budokai 3, even with like the Tenkaichi games, of course, but Budokai 3 just always just held a special place in my heart. But damn it, Sparking Zero is definitely take the cake. I mean, outside of the typical roster, the gameplay is fluid. For the most part, the gameplay is fluid. Now, with every fighting game, there's always something that you're gonna be like, all right, fam. But but that's a whole different topic. But just sticking with the game overall, though, literally damn near every character that you can probably think of from the Dragon Ball universe. That's from Dragon Ball to Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, and I'm assuming they're gonna have some of the Dragon Ball Diamond characters in it too. Because I mean, it only makes sense because there should be no reason why Dragon Ball Kakarot in Xenoverse 2 is been getting all the new characters, but that once again, that is a whole nother rant. But that's why you laughing because you know, like, bro, Xenoverse 2 have been getting like all the DLC like for the longest. But yeah, man, like I said, as far as fighting games go, man, like Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is probably definitely the Dragon Ball Z fighting game that you want to play. I mean, like Fighter Z too, but yeah, as far as like arena style, the stages look beautiful. Now, the what if story mode is hit or miss, especially depending on who you are playing as. But I don't know. See, that's my thing though. That's the kind of bit like one of my gripes with Dragon Ball like Z games. Like probably why I maybe enjoy Kakarot the most because like sometimes I just want to play the damn sagas like they supposed to be. And then you can maybe throw in the what if scenarios on the side, but like the what if scenario shouldn't be the main, you know what I'm saying? Like the main thing. But yeah, oh, and also grinding was a bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that is another thing that irritated me. Like I'm not one of those people who are going to spend money on characters or anything unless I just really want like that person. So like the fact that, you know, gotta beat all the what if scenarios, collect all the Dragon Balls, summon every version of Shenron just to like, you know, get like certain things was like hella annoying. But, you know, like I said, enjoyable as fighting game, still enjoying it to this day. And honestly, like that's definitely probably gonna be at Evo, like this year. It surprise me if it's not. But yeah, my number 5, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, amazing. And it's still one time for Vegeta. It's F Goku forever, and that's just where I'm at with.
Very well said. This was another one that I had to leave off my list. I did put some time into it. I will put it like this. Nostalgia got me on this one because I'm like, yeah, I played Budokai growing up. I played Tenkaichi. Then I played this and I just felt so like I was playing like a foreign system because it's just like, wait, there's 2 block buttons. I gotta do this to dodge. What's this perfect perception thing? Like, so yeah. Also, it didn't help the fact that my wife's cousin, her son, he's about 18 years old. They came to stay with us one weekend, and he mollywopped me in this game, and I was just like,
who did he have? Because if he was out there getting Ultra Instinct Goku or something,
So here's the thing. He's very smart man, very smart guy, very bright. He's in college and everything. I can tell bro plays a game because he did the thing. I don't know if you noticed. He did the thing where he picked a sorry character and still beat me. Oh. And I was just like, I know what you're doing. You know, like, look, I forgot the buttons. All right, I only played 2 hours of this before you got here, so that's fine. No, who did he use? I forget who he used. I honestly was just picking random people. Like we did the 5v5 team, and I had like Piccolo, Cell, Tien, Krillin, and like Cooler. Now, like I said, I didn't put a lot of time into it. I did enjoy it, like for what it is. I put again for what it is for this style of game, which we haven't had since. When did Budokai 3 come out? PS2, right? Or was it PS?
Yeah, PS2.
Yeah, PS2. Yeah, so probably the mid 2000s. I'm happy a game like this exists. Again, like you said, some of the mechanics and fighting, like we all knew this was never going to be a balanced game like DBZ Fighters. We all knew, like, if you play this, you know what this game is like. You know,
they literally said, not to cut you off, that hey, power levels are gonna matter again on this one. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So they're getting Broly's, which was one of my favorite characters. But yeah, like the punches are gonna hit way harder. You know what I'm saying? If you like punching like a Chaozu or something, you know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna actually matter. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, like I said, it is very, very good game. It's just, It's one of those things that, like, if I do decide to pick it back up, I'm definitely gonna have to put some time in, because yeah, that style of Dragon Ball fighting games has definitely passed me by. Now I'm not ashamed to say that. Continuing on, my number 5. So here's the thing, my top 5. I'm pretty sure you and me will have at least 3 or 4 of the same games in our top 5. When it came to my top 5, where I decided like I should put this game, I had to think about it. It's a game that I haven't beaten yet, but I do plan to beat soon. But I do have a lot of hours into it. My number 5 is going to be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And when I thought about why this game isn't higher on my list, I had to think about, how can I put this? I had to think about how my time is spent in this game and what the game is doing for me. So when it comes to JRPGs, which is, you know, both one of our favorite genres, we know what to expect with these type of games. We know there's going to be a story. We know there's going to be side content, different things that you can do. Just to give y'all an idea, I want to say I'm maybe about halfway through this game. I just got done with the first time you go to Costa del Sol, and I'm starting to do the stuff after that. Yeah, so I think there's like 14 chapters. I think I'm like on chapter 7 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Now, I have been fortunate enough to not have this game spoiled for me, because some people are very indifferent about the ending. I know there's still a couple of main story characters I still have to meet. You know, if you want to kind of park where I'm at, I like literally the last time I played, Yuffie just joined my team officially to be able to play.
Okay, yeah.
So I know there's still at least maybe 2 or 3 more main characters and a sort of flying ship that I have to unlock to still go. With that being said, I love this game. I, in a roundabout way, got a PS5 Pro, so I can continue playing this game where it looks good and plays smooth.
Raise the pinky.
Hey, look, I didn't pay for it outright. I got a payment plan on that mug, and you know it comes out of my credit card every month. But you know, we do what we can as gamers.
X.
The game is amazing. The game is fun. The game is everything you want. I am kind of to a point, and it's kind of messing with my OCD of like, there's a bunch of shit on this map that I gotta do, and it kind of ties into the story, but also it's like, bro, I just want to get through the main story. Which I know you can, but it's also one of those things where it's just like, hey, you can go.
Type of gamers we are.
Exactly. Like, you know, I see, like, literally, I have probably 30 hours in this game, but that's because I literally did everything in the first 2 areas. And now I guess I'm about to go to the 3rd area, and it's like, I want to do everything, but then again, this game is 140 gigs on space on my PS5. But also, again, I want to like get through the story and see what changes they made as opposed to the original. So that's why I have this at number 5, because it's the thing where it's like, it does a lot of stuff right. You know, it has a lot of mini games. If you're into that, cool. But also, I kind of feel like, and like I said, I'm only halfway through. This may change as I get farther into it, but from my guesstimate, I also have to remember this is the middle part of a trilogy of games, of a story that's being, you know, altered from the original. I feel like the narrative to gameplay ratio is way off, and it's kind of a thing where it's like, I enjoy my time in this game, but there also are some points where it's just like, can we just get to the next main story part without having to do this mandatory? Don't get me wrong, I love Queen's Blood, but can we just get to the next main story without having to do this mandatory Queen's Blood tournament, which I did win. I made sure I won. You know, I forget the girl's name, but we had to teach her a lesson. And the black chick. But yeah, but that's my number 5, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. As I said, it's an amazing game. I'm actually quite shocked how more, well, I'm not gonna say shocked, but when I originally played Final Fantasy VII Remake, I was like, oh, this is cool. You know, you got your story, you can do your side stuff. And I feel like this game leaned a little bit too much into the side stuff as opposed to keeping the narrative going along. But yeah, that's my number 5, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
So despite my shocked face after you broke it down, and I mean honestly, just the fact that you haven't finished it yet just lets me know everything. But I will say this: them focusing so heavy on side stuff is the reason why that game isn't going to be higher in my list. And I'll just kind of keep it at that, because I absolutely agree. Because I think even when I was playing, I was texting you like, bruh, like once I got to about like chapter like 12, I was like, yeah, at this point I'm just like ready to just get the main story over with, which is not what you want to hear, like what you want to say when playing Final Fantasy game. But yeah, but then like you said though, I mean, that's when you got to remember it's the middle game out of 3, so you know you got to deal with that. But yeah, I have no issue with what I'm saying that like being your number 5 for those very reasons. Now I'm not gonna lie, 4-1. Now I know we like joke and like say this like every year as far as like being difficult, as far as like rearranging. 4-1 was difficult as hell for me. Same. So, and this is one of those situations where I was like kind of hoping that maybe one of these games came out last year and I just didn't play it until this year. Nah, they all came out this year.
Yep.
So my number 4 is Persona 3 Reloaded. Everybody knows I love Persona games, like just in general, you know what I'm saying? And them remaking 3 with basically the same animation style and some of the same mechanics as Persona 5 and just added to Persona 3 could make you actually argue that Persona 3 is actually the better game story-wise. Like honestly, like the thing that I like the most, I don't know if they're gonna do this before or not, but the thing that I like the most with these remakes is like is forcing you to go back and play them, you know what I'm saying, like with a fresh perspective. Especially when you think about like the original. I haven't played like the original Persona 3 and 4 like until they like put them back on Game Pass. You know what I'm saying? Like before they did the remakes. And like Persona 5 I always like have a near dear place in my heart, you know what I'm saying? But it was just like honestly you could argue also that some of the characters on Persona 3 is like better too. It's just like I said, it's a subjective thing, it's an opinionated thing, it's all about, who you like or whatever. But soundtrack, amazing. Like I said, the cast, amazing. Now, and I will say this, I felt like it was a lot easier to navigate through Tartarus than it was Mementos. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Because like after a while, the deeper you got into Memento, you started being like, bruh, like it was hard to like see where you was going. It was just too much. So that's another thing too. Like Tartarus is way better to navigate than it was in Mementos. But yeah, man, I don't know. Like it being number 4, it actually hurt for me to like to like put it number 4. It wasn't gonna be outside the top 5. You know how much time I've spent playing Persona 3 Reloaded, and the Project Aegis DLC was way better than I thought it was gonna be. You know what I'm saying? Like, so with that, I mean, for those who don't know, I mean, I guess spoiler alert. I guess you can, put it in, the little editing when you do it. But the main character dies at the end of Persona 3. Now how that person dies, whether it's peaceful or not, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? But your character basically dies at the end of Persona 3, and Project Aegis takes place after that happens. You know what I'm saying? So it's a continuation of what happens after that. So yeah, man, just great, just great JRPG like always, man. It was a fantastic remake. I know it's like funny I said that, like I'm irritated with like all these remakes and reboots, but when it's done properly though. When it's done properly, you got to give it props. And yeah, Persona 3. I mean, honestly, Atlas had a hell of a year this year.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And this was definitely one of the reasons why. But yeah, man, my number 4, Persona 3 Reload. That's my number 4.
Nice. No, I totally agree. I will expound on that a little bit later. But for my number 4, like you said, my top 4 was very difficult. I kind of coming into this, I kind of already knew, including Final Fantasy, what my top 5 was going to be. I just had to figure out in what order I wanted to put them in. This game is at number 4, not because it's not as good as my top 3. This was surprisingly one of the few games I actually beat this year. And when I completed the game, I took my time. I thought about it. I was like, you know what? This game did a lot of things right. It really didn't do anything wrong. But if I'm going to be critical about it, especially for a series that I love, I will say that story-wise, there are some things that concluded that didn't really make sense at overall. But my number 4 is going to be Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Probably the first major game that came out this year, because it came out in February.
What, January? I thought it was either way it goes, beginning of the month.
Yeah.
I mean year.
Beginning of the year. So for y'all that know, me and Don, we are huge Yakuza fans. I started with Yakuza 0. Was it 0? Yeah. 0, played that, beat it, dabbled with 1 and 2, and then I don't know why they did the naming like this. Yakuza Like a Dragon came out, which was where they introduced Ichiban. That was an amazing game, an amazing story. And what we thought was them passing the torch from Kiryu to Ichiban. Then we're like, oh, there's a sequel coming out, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. So now instead of called Yakuza, it's called Like a Dragon. I know it's very confusing, but just think of that as the modern games. Also, I forgot to mention that now the Ichiban games, as I'll call them, are turn-based RPGs as opposed to action games, even though there are some small action bits with certain characters, and it, for the most part, doesn't really feel that much different, to be honest. But Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth basically takes place after the first game, where basically, Ichiban takes down his half-brother, some very, very great ending to that game. Like story development wise for Ichiban that sets him up for this game. In this game, he basically finds out who his mother is, and he goes to Hawaii to meet her. And Hawaii is a great setting for this game. And we can already tell because the new, Like a Dragon pirate with Majima, where he somehow gets amnesia and becomes a pirate after the events of Infinite Wealth. So I can already tell they're going to use the hell out of Hawaii for the next couple of games, but I'm fine with that. It's good to have a different setting besides Kamurocho. Yeah. So with Infinite Wealth, it basically expands upon the things that they did. The gameplay is way better as far as the turn-based. You get a couple more party members, some returning members, different job classes, just a bunch of side stuff. I'm actually surprised the 2 main side things in the game with the Doki Doki Island and the Sujimon
battles, yeah.
was actually really well laid out, and honestly they could be I would not be surprised if they made a Doki Doki Island Animal Crossing style side game in the future, because that honestly could be like its own game in itself, so much so that like I literally spent 3 straight days just to complete that whole mode and be like all right, I got enough money for the rest of the game now, basically. And overall, it's a great game. Like I said, I played it to completion. My only gripes with it, one, I thought we were going to be done with Kiryu. I honestly, we better be done with Kiryu after. Don't get me wrong, I love Kiryu. He's had his stay in the spotlight, but the way this game concludes and the shape that he is in at the conclusion, I do fully expect him to just be another side mentor character going forward from this point. Now, without any spoilers for people that haven't played this game or do plan on playing it, I don't like the way they did Ichiban in this game.
Oh my god.
It's kind of a thing where like where he so here's the thing, where he started in the first game, where he started and where he ended was two totally different places. He's a, you know, better person, has a better understanding of the world. I kind of feel like in this game he really didn't have any character growth other than just being like, you know, I met my mom. You know, I finally got Kiryu to start trusting people and stop trying to shoulder the load for everything. That's about it. What irritated me to no end
Was it the ending?
the ending cutscene where he goes back to Japan and he basically there's a character that you befriend that betrays you, and basically at the end of the game you basically be like, he's like, why are you helping me? I did all these horrible things to you. And he's like, well, because you're my friend. But the thing is, the public doesn't like it. It's this whole scene that does not make any sense, especially for the situation, and basically just puts Ichiban back where he started at the beginning of the game with no development, no character depth, nothing. There's also this little side story with him trying to date one of the other characters, which just, you think it's gonna go somewhere and it does. Like, I don't know. Like, this honestly should have just been another Kiryu game, because he's the one who got the most development and like closure of this game. But other than that, the game was great. It was amazing, very fun to play. Like I said, if you're into this style of game, tons of mini games, you know, definitely a bunch of sub stories that you can get into. So you'll definitely get your money's worth. But if we're being critical from like a story perspective, especially for the person who's supposed to be the main character of the series now, I'll be interested to see where we go with his next mainline game. You know, just to see. But that's my number 4, Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth.
Once again, perfect segue, because that's actually my number 3 game, because of literally everything that you said as far as the story goes. And as you, even now, like, I'm still playing it on my laptop, just, you know, just because it's like one of my comfort games. But dog, as soon as you said you hated the story, I knew exactly what you was about to talk about. Because you know who Ichiban reminded me of this game?
Who was that?
He reminded me of season 8 Jaime Lannister from Game of Thrones. Like, the whole the first 7 seasons of Game of Thrones, we saw Jaime Lannister go from Kingslayer to like one of your favorite characters. And then on that last season, he basically went back to doing the same thing he was doing in season 1. And that's literally, like, gameplay wise, I love all the different I love all the different fighting styles, you know what I'm saying, and things like that. But like you said, it's great once again seeing the two main protagonists for the Yakuza games come together, you know what I'm saying? But even like me and you was talking, like, we definitely thought this was definitely gonna be like, all right, you know, this is definitely gonna be Kiryu's last run. Not that he like gonna die or nothing, but it's just like, all right, especially, you know what I'm saying, when they made you separate, you know what I'm saying? Because there's multiple points in the game, like, you'll have one team, you'll have like Ichiban team in Hawaii, and then you'll have like Kiryu back in, you know, in the Jinko and stuff like that. So, even though we like crapping on the story, I will say this though. They did a damn good job when they did separate the two teams, as far as like, you know what I'm saying, like, it felt good. It didn't feel like, you know what I'm saying, it was a drop off on nothing, you know what I'm saying? Because you still had, for the most part, equal amount of team members, like, on both sides.
Yeah.
The only thing that was kind of irritating is like so for example, my Kiryu team was like level 49.
Yeah.
And then, you know, once you go back to Hawaii, the Ichiban team is back down, you know, they still like level 43 and stuff like that. So you gotta like kind of go back through that, you know what I'm saying, that grind of like leveling them up too, which is fine, because it doesn't, and I'm just speaking for me personally, it doesn't really feel like a chore to like go through the dungeons and stuff, you know what I'm saying, on Like a Dragon, because it flows smoothly for the most part, you know what I'm saying? Like, Yeah, man, it's just a story. Like, really, the story, like that ending, really like irritated me to the point to where like I could not put this in my top two because, like you said, like dog, we've been the way they did Ichiban and Like a Drake, like just the way the game started off. Like, all right, cool, you know what I'm saying? Like he's trying to help out other Yakuza members, you know what I'm saying, get reformed and stuff like that, and then YouTube channel. And that was another thing that irritated me too. Like, bruh, like I love how, you know, trusting Ichiban is, but like, bro, you too old to be that dang naive, fam. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I would have been like my boy, what was it, Takazawa, like, hey, bro, like, now granted, he couldn't speak either because of like how him and Ichiban met, but it was like one of those situations, like, bro, like, Chitose literally is the reason why y'all are all going through what y'all going through, and it was just like one of those,
power of friendship.
Yeah, bro. Basically, that's basically Ichiban's power is like the power of friendship. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like I felt like he definitely should have like ended up at a way better place by the end of that game. Like you said, it should have just been like Kiryu's game. Because honestly, if you go with like the man who erased his name to like now, like honestly, that Kiryu arc, that could have literally just been the end right there. You could have like started Like a Dragon like now if you wanted to. But you know, like you said, we'll see. But he definitely, respectfully, it should be no way in hell that Kiryu is in this next game acting like he, you know what I'm saying, is still young again because hey, that boy was in shambles.
Look,
but yeah, I mean, yeah, not to like just
look, all those games started catching up to him.
Dog, I'm telling you, fam, all the Hostess Club and everything. But that's another thing too, though. The sub stories, I will say, it seemed like they did a better job with this as far as like toning down all the meaningless ones, and like most of the like the side stories felt like, you know, they felt important for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Of course, it was the same like goofy ones that Yakuza is known for, but I felt like, especially like with the Kiryu stuff, you know what I'm saying, with like going around reminiscing about like, you know, things and stuff like that. That was like definitely well done. But yeah, man, my number 3 is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Depending on how amazing this pirate one is going to be next month, don't be surprised if y'all hear me talking about that one by the end of 2025.
Man, I'm so ready for this game. They put out a video about the ship combats. Like, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to watch it. Just let me I can wait another 3 weeks or whenever it comes out in February. But
yeah, because I'm gonna definitely have that. But yeah, like overall though, like like I will say like basically everything Kiryu side related was phenomenal. Not that Ichiban's wasn't. It was just like after a while you get tired of seeing your boy get played like a sucker. You know what I'm saying? Like,
also,
and it's only something.
Maybe it's just me. His final boss fight didn't really feel like
a
like it didn't. So his final boss fights in the first game made sense because of story implications. This one is just like, oh, it's this evil dude who's been controlling Hawaii Underground for 70 years and he's trying to kill my mom. I gotta take him out. My mom I just met like 2 days ago.
Like, protect a little girl, necklace, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, like.
And then it's like Kiryu's final boss fight was cool too, but at least that kind of had more story implications, even though
it was.
I like I said, I feel like overall story-wise, this was probably the weakest part of this game because some of the reveals at the end, as far as who's Kiryu's final antagonist was, at how he pertains to Ichiban's story, was just like, y'all just wrote that in.
Yeah, that was random as hell.
It's like, I was just like, oh, and yeah, okay, y'all just wrote that in. But yeah, like I said, we'll see with the next one. But moving on to my number 3. This game is at number 3, not because of its story, not because of its gameplay mechanics, just for the simple fact that since it has come out, I have played. It's probably my most played game this year. and that's saying a lot compared to what I've been playing. But this is the game that I've came back to. I haven't beat it yet. I still got some ways to go. There's actually another version of it out that I had to restart everything because my stuff didn't transfer over. My number 3 is Balatro. So here's the thing. When Balatro got announced, I was like, okay, a roguelike card game, using poker. I will say this up front. If you haven't played this game or if you see it, there is zero gambling going on in this game. So much so that the dude that made the game put it in like his, will or whatever, that like if he passes away and someone gets his IP, you can't use this for any gambling reasons at all. It's just because I think he used to like work on slot machines for casinos.
Okay.
So he's like, a lot of the sensatory stuff that happens in this game is the same things that you get with that, but there's like no actual gambling. It's all just trying to get high scores to do that. Holy shit, this game is amazing. So I got it back when my Steam Deck was working. I mainly played it on there, played it on PC. It's basically you start off with like a regular card deck and he's like, all right, you got to play these poker hands to get the score to beat. So there's like 3 levels in a round and you got to get to round 8 and beat the final boss to technically beat a run in that, right? So, you start off, you got to get 300 points. So let's say if you play a flush, you get 200. If you play a full house, you get different numerical values and it all adds up to a point total. So once you beat a level, there's a store in between. So you get money for beating the level. So you can buy, and this is where it gets interesting, you get to buy Joker cards. So these Joker cards have modifications where it'll be like, if you play a flush, you get a +10 multiplier. If you play a two of a kind, you get a ×2 multiplier. Like it's a bunch of different things that can help your score go up. And there's different builds and runs that you can do. Now, where it gets more interesting is you have different deck types. So let's say you're using the starter deck and you get 4 hands. A hand is basically how many hands you can play so that you can get the total score. So you'll get 4 with the first one, and then you get only 3 discards. So you can only discard your hand 3 times until you got to play what you got. Now there's different card types. So instead of, having an ace of spades, you can have a glass ace of spades. So whenever you play it, it gives you a ×2 multiplier to your hand. So instead of you getting like 200 coins, you can get 400 coins for your hand. It's a bunch of different stuff. I would advise you, it's a cheap game. I think it's like under $10. It's also, if you have Apple Arcade, it's free on there. That was when that came out to Apple Arcade in October, let's just say that became my new break-in phone game at work. And but me trying to explain it is not going to do it justice. Go watch a video of it or just buy it and try it. I promise you, if you have any inkling for like roguelike or score chasing games, this will definitely be one of the best ones. There's been a lot of, since it came out, there's been a lot of copycat games. Some are good, some are not, but this is definitely, and the soundtrack for a game that only has 1 song on it, literally just 1 song, slightly different versions. It's a banger of a song. But Balatro is my number 3. It's a game that I'm still playing. I think I played a little bit earlier when I was supposed to be working because I was trying to. So before I get off this, the way that it kind of works is like, you have like your red deck and your blue deck or your starter decks. So if you beat a run with them, you unlock different types of decks. You get one that doesn't have any face cards, so no kings, queens, or jacks. You get ones that's all spades and all diamonds, so it's easier for you to get flushes, and there's a whole bunch of other different stuff. But the thing is, they have stakes. So let's say you beat the red deck, you got the black stake. That's basically level 1. Now there's level 2. Now it's like, okay, now you're playing level 2, and now you got to get a little bit more points to get to the next one. And then if you get to the you beat that run, you get to the next one. It's like, okay, well now instead of having 3 discards, you only have 2. So it's a bunch of different modifiers that can challenge you to create different hand types and different combination of jokers. But yeah, as I said, if you're interested, go watch a video or just go play it. There's a bunch of mechanics that I don't have time because we're already an hour into this video to explain. But once you play it, you will understand it. There's a bunch of videos of people playing like, oh, what they talk about this card game Balatro, and then they'll be like 2 days later and it's just like, what are you doing? It's like, I'm playing Balatro. Don't you see I got to get this joker with this joker, and then I got to get the banana, and we got to get this. It's a thing. But Balatro is my number 3 game of the year.
Okay, yeah, I might have to check that out because I can definitely see you, yeah, definitely like at work, well, quote unquote, working, and then all of a sudden, yeah, you just, oh well, yeah, I ain't doing that. I got a brief minute. Let me go ahead and get this in real quick.
Oh, look, since this game came out on mobile, now that I have the ability to log in and out of my breaks on my phone, shoot, I just go on the cafeteria. Be like, that'd be out if I'm like 10 minutes late from getting back.
Okay, so my number 2 is actually, I think it was your number 5, which is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Look, I'm not gonna regurgitate all of the points that was made earlier. Look, we know the game is fantastic. To be honest, like, and that's like the one, like, I guess the one caveat that we always gotta remember is that these was always meant to be a trilogy off top. You know what I'm saying? So it's like one of those, you know what you gonna get for the most part, but you also in the back of your mind gotta know it's not gonna be like a complete story until the actual end of it. You know what I'm saying? So basically these first 2 games is literally just about like us just being able to like fully explore Midgard. That's literally, you know what I'm saying, what I feel like these first 2 games have been about. And this is like the same as well, you know what I'm saying? But like once again, like the reason why I couldn't be number 1 is, well, me, because I'm surprised you didn't even mention it. I hate Zack's voice. Like, I hate Zack's new voice. It is hella annoying, bruh. Like, it was one of those, I was hoping it was gonna get better. It didn't. You know what I'm saying? It was the opposite of like the Kiryu English actor situation. Like, because everybody hated like Kiryu's, you know what I'm saying, English voice. But I mean, you get used to it like after a while. It wasn't that bad. Yeah. And to be honest, like respectfully, y'all don't even know what the English voice actor would sound like because it was only one game that was in English anyway. So miss me with all that. But yeah, like honestly, between Zack's voice and the oversaturation of side missions, dog, I felt like I was playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And that was one reason why I did not even want to bother finishing that game, is because it was just too much side stuff. Now, granted, I guess we can blame ourselves because of the type of gamers that we are, I guess. But it should be no reason why, like you said, certain games is mandatory for you to do just to be able to advance the story. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it's stuff that you might be absolute trash at. You might just not be able to get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I shouldn't have to do this just to be able to advance the story. Like, granted, and this is how I know that I was kind of ready to beat the game. I didn't even put in 100 hours in Final Fantasy. Now, if you remember when Remake came out, I was like well over 100 with that one.
Yeah.
My number 1 game is definitely well over 100 hours, but like for me to like put in like only like 70 hours or so into like Final Fantasy, that was more, that says more about the game as far as like, bro, I'm just ready to get this over with at this point. You know what I'm saying? And then with like some of the side stuff too, it was just like really one of those, it's just ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Like, this doesn't even need to be in the game, or like, why are you making this overly complicated for like a little side mission? So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is definitely a great game. I don't want y'all to think that the gripes that we're giving mean that the game is like, you know, trash or anything like that. I mean, it's my number 2. I mean, it's your number 5. and you didn't even finish it. You know what I'm saying? So, and you literally halfway through. So that's to let you know how great the game is. But it's just like it's just too much filler. It's just literally just too much filler, and it after a while you just be ready to beat the game at that point. So yeah, that's my number 2.
Yep. And like I said, it's a great game. Like I said, if you want to splurge out for the PS5 Pro, it definitely helps because you can basically play it with pristine, crisp visuals and the smooth 60 FPS. You know, so you don't have to choose. But for my number 2, I believe this one was your number 4, if I'm not mistaken. But it is Persona 3 Reload. So I echo everything you said. I think this is an amazing game. I did not realize how amazing this soundtrack was because so my first Persona was Persona 5. Basically, one of my friends was like, hey, Mike, there's this game called Persona 5 coming out in 2017. He sent me the trailer. I watched 10 seconds of it. I was like, bet, I'm gonna play that day one. No life the game for 2 months, because remind you, this is around the time Breath of the Wild and Horizon Zero Dawn came out. So I was playing those. This came out, I played it, enjoyed it, eventually beat it, I think the next year. And then when Persona 4 Golden came to Steam, I bought that, got about 20 hours in, but I hadn't played 3. I knew 3 had a from what I've heard, I knew 3 had a little bit more darker tone, especially with the evokers, how they summon their personas compared to the other games. But myself, I'm not done with this. I want to say I put in well over 30 hours, but I want to say I just unlocked the dog.
Okay.
And I didn't know he was gonna be a party member, but I guess I'm about to lock the little boy. Like he just
Ken, I think,
he just moved in with us, so I'm at that point. But this game
it's ended for you.
No, it's fine. I found out he was gonna be I already knew about it. Like I've done a bunch of stuff on this game. Matter of fact, I think I saw the final boss fight by accident on Twitch one time, so I know who Nyx is.
Don't even.
Yeah, but overall, I will say this is the best way to play it, especially if you've never played the older ones. I know a lot of people, myself kind of included, are kind of wondering why they didn't add the FES content with the woman protagonist in the game to at least give you an option, or even like as DLC. But Atlas was saying like, hey, this is just a recreation of the original Persona, Persona 3, not FES or whatever. So I was just like, I guess I guess
Project Aegis was supposed to be them letting us play with,
I don't know. I kind of feel like there's gonna be like a definitive version. It's like, hey, FEMC is here now. But overall, this is a very great game if you're into this style, so much so that I have a guide so I can know what to do on certain days, because it's kind of like real life. It's like, you got a lot of friends and you don't have time for all of them. Although, I'm not gonna lie, main character is a master gaslighter.
Like, man, ain't he though?
I didn't really realize that till I finished one of the earlier side stories with the student who tried to ask out the teacher.
Oh yeah.
And then I was just kind of looking at some of the responses. I was like, you just straight up encouraging this, and then all this other stuff. But overall, like I said, it's a great game. It is also one of those games, like you said, going around Tartarus. I think, if I'm not mistaken, in this game they changed the different levels. So like once you get past certain points, the whatchamacallit, like the surroundings in Tartarus changes as far as colors and themes. Very. So that's understandable. Just playing the story for the first time and going through and just kind of seeing how things play out, learning about the Team Strag and their story and seeing them fleshed out. So that was pretty cool. But otherwise, like I said, it's a great game that I do plan on finishing and had a lot of fun with. But that's my number 2, Persona 3 Reload.
What sport did you go with? Did you go with basketball or soccer for the school club?
Uh, I don't think I gotten that far yet. I'm only just on the track team.
Ah, okay. Well, yeah. Eventually, now I will say this: as far as like upgrading skills go,
Mm,
soccer, like if you choose soccer, it'll be like a whole lot easier. So I would say
okay.
like choose soccer your first go around.
Okay, got you.
Okay, so number one, look, for people that know me, my number one game is probably not going to be a surprise to anyone. I'm pretty sure once you text me to do this for this year, you probably already knew what my number one game was going to be.
Mm,
Like we said earlier, Atlas has had a hell of a year because my number one game is Metaphor ReFantazio. And look, when I tell you that, yes, Persona games are dark, but this is basically like a more darker version of Persona. Like it's just in a fantasy world. Like that's the best way that I can describe this. And to be honest, so granted, like I would say one negative that you can call it a negative for the Persona games could be like the high school setting
oh,
and the fact that you got to go to class and do all that. You don't have to do any of that in Metaphor ReFantazio. You're not in a school setting. Like I said, you're in a fantasy world. I mean, there are still things that you do during the day and at night, but I feel like you'll be more willing to want to do that, you know what I'm saying? Because you're not worrying about like having to like answer, you know what I'm saying? Answer
tests and
a
stuff like
random
that.
calculus question or something, you know what I'm saying? But dog, first 10 minutes of the game, Luis already showed you what type of person he is, and I was just like, you know what? That is a classic. He is the definition of a classic villain right there. But like with anything involving Atlas or just RPGs in general, like it's not as simple as it's him just, you know what I'm saying, wanting to be the guy. But I don't really want to say too much and give out the story, but gameplay wise, it's just easily my favorite like combat, you know what I'm saying, that Atlas done. Like the best thing about it is the fact that usually with Persona games, you as the main character are the only person that can have like multiple personas. For Metaphor, everybody can have multiple archetypes, which makes it a whole lot easier, you know what I'm saying, to like go into different battles, especially like them later game boss battles. Fam, yeah, like you gonna need to make sure that you definitely got like at least one of these. Definitely make sure you got a healer like at all times,
Yes.
because hey, bro, like it gets real. Difficulty wise, honestly, way more difficult than I thought it was gonna be. Not like in a bad way, but like even normal mode is like savage, fam. I ain't gonna lie, I am not ashamed to say I died quite a few times playing this game. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like I said, with most Atlas games, also, you build relationships. Well, you build friendships or bonds.
Yeah.
I didn't want to use the word relationships because there are no romance options, you know what I'm saying, on this game, and people lost their absolute shit because of that. Get y'all horny asses outside and like go talk to real people, because like if you're that mad that you can't romance somebody on the video game, then that go sign up to Black Planet or something. I don't know what to tell you, but that wasn't like you know what I'm saying, like that wasn't even that serious issues like to just be like upset about that, like. But like even like the side characters, you know what I'm saying, like going through their stories, you felt for them too. Like Atlas does a great job of like making you actually feel for like the side characters and everything too. But I mean, like soundtrack wise, like it definitely grew on me. That battle music, yeah, hey, that battle music definitely. Once you hear that, I'm like, yep, yes, this is about to get real. But yeah, man, like I said, I can really just go on and on about talk about this game. Like my first playthrough was like 150 hours. I ain't even like start my new game plus yet, which I definitely plan on doing. But yeah, man, this game is fantastic. It also does a great job story wise of kind of, because I mean the best way to describe it is basically about like, classism, socialism, definitely some racism.
Oh yeah.
But you know, like literally, like oh you got, but yeah, it does a good job of not making it seem like over the top. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean like Metaphor ReFantazio, my number one game of 2024. That game's amazing. If you like RPGs, JRPGs, just fantastic combat. You know what I'm saying? Like this is definitely the game for you to play. So yeah, man, Metaphor ReFantazio is my number one game of 2024.
Already, very well said. Well, I'm just gonna tag myself in once again because as I thought when I told you when we were going to record this, I was like, my number one is Metaphor ReFantazio as well. I echo all the same things. I am not ashamed to say when I started this game, I'm like, yeah, you know, I play Persona 5 on hard mode. I'm gonna play this on hard mode. Oh boy,
man.
So here's the thing that I kind of learned about this game that I didn't really realize till I was a couple of hours in. So while it is kind of like a Persona game, its combat is definitely from the Shin Megami Tensei side. Because if you don't know, you have these turn markers at the beginning of the turn. So the mechanic is if you hit a weak spot like in Persona, you basically get to, you know, you get tag, go again. In this game, you basically get an extra turn. But it also works for the opponents as well. What I didn't realize is that if you're on hard mode, I think they naturally get an extra turn just off rip. And you don't. Also, there's like a little bit real-time mechanic where you can basically, if you're stronger than your, you know, opponents, you can like fight them without having to go into turn battle. If you get ambushed by somebody who is stronger than you, I got to a point where I was just like, if I got ambushed, I just knew I was going to have to restart. So I have no shame in saying that I put it down from hard mode to normal mode. And even still, sometimes this game is giving me a little trouble. So yeah, but overall, amazing game, amazing art style. From my understanding, when I watched kind of a deep dive about this game's development, basically the way that Atlus does it is whenever they do like a different version, so say like Persona 4, Persona 4 Golden, Persona 5, Persona 5 Royal, the people who do the second version is like the younger developers in Atlus. So apparently the people, Studio Zero, I believe is their name, that made this game is comprised of people who worked on the original Persona 3, 4, and 5. Basically them making their new game, which is, from what I've heard, supposed to be the next kind of pillar in Atlus's RPG. So they'll have Shin Megami, Persona, and this.
Nice.
For all intents and purposes, this is Persona 6 until Persona 6 comes out for me. Basically, definitely everything that, you know, we've played in previous Atlus games, but just turned up to 10. Like you said, the visual art style, what they're known for their menus, the way that things pop on screen, the character designs, the music, just everything. And like you said, the story, which we know in Atlus has tried to tackle some serious issues in the Persona games, especially in 5 with, you know, starting off with, you know, Kamoshida, the teacher, doing not good stuff, even though that was a 10-hour tutorial, but it kind of set it up. But we also know that, you know, and I will say this for Persona 5, because that's the only one that I've beaten. I haven't beaten 4 or 3. Atlus hasn't, you know, they can be a little lackluster when it comes to the final boss. So far, Luis in this game has been amazing. He's been everything that I've always wanted in a villain, where it's like, nah, like, you know, this is the way I see the world. If you don't agree, I will kill you. And he did that to start the game. He was like, hey, King, you've had your chance, die. And then it shows that, you know, he tried to kill the prince, which, you know, you're trying to help get him out of his coma. He kills another character that you've been helping at the start of the game, and I instantly knew once he didn't get his little persona awakening moment, I was like, oh yeah, he's not gonna be here for long. There's always a way you could tell. But yeah, as you mentioned with the archetype system. I'm learning very quickly. I will say one thing. This game is amazing. You know, I'm probably maybe closing in on halfway, maybe the quarter mark, starting to get more party members. Game's a little difficult until you get your fourth party member, which you don't get till
It takes a while.
maybe 20 hours into the game.
Yeah,
15,
that's a
20.
minute.
It takes a while. Like you got to go through a lot of stuff and you know, a lot of story beats before you unlock them. But you know, once you start getting your party together and then unlocking the different archetypes, which I'm having a blast with right now, I've got to the point where I basically started unlocking the upgraded versions. So
Yeah.
I got the like the mage healer for my main character. I basically just made him a mage because
Yeah, that's
that-
what I did too.
like that's kind of how they steer him at the beginning, and you technically don't have a mage character till very later on, you know, when you start unlocking other characters after the fourth member. I will say the monster designs in this game is just for y'all that don't know, the way this game, the story of this game is like, it's kind of a fairy tale story. So you basically start the game and like the narrator is asking you, it's like, oh, do you believe in fantasies and all this other stuff? And you have to put in your main character's name and then you have to put in your actual name. So I'm sure there's going to be a twist with that, you know, towards the end of the game. But long story short, your main character has this book, Utopia, which I found out was a real book that was written in our world. And basically you'll have scenes where he lets the other party members read it, you know, when they're at their lowest or they need some encouragement. And they'll be like, oh man, you know, a perfect world, I wonder how that'll be. And then they'll start questioning the perfect world, which is a theme that goes on during the game. But I say that to say that it's very interesting story-wise, what it does actually in the story, and then what it does meta narratively. Like for instance, you know, the big monsters that you fight are called humans.
Bruh, that threw me all the way off.
It did, because I was just like, oh, okay. And then you actually see one, and it's like I can tell they were waiting to use these designs. It's also, I haven't gotten this far, so I don't know how this correlates together, but your main character is an Elder who's somehow connected to the humans, but he's also the most human looking character, like to what we know as humans in the game, as opposed to all the other classes, which are different variations of like elves, horned people, people with 3 eyes, bunny people, like just different classes, and they each have their levels and stuff. But overall, it's a fun game. I honestly really don't have any gripes. Maybe, like you said, the combat, once you get used to it, it'll be pretty good. It takes a while to get into it. Other than that, it's an amazing game. Like you said, I'm feverishly going through this one because I definitely want to see what the story is. So far, Luis has been an amazing villain. I'm very interested to see how his implicate how his position in the story affects things. I also, funnily enough, kind of got a part of the game spoiled for me again when I was going on Twitch. I have this thing where like if I hover over like a channel, it'll show a preview, and let's just say at a certain point you start a contest to see who's going to be the next king, and I basically saw a cutscene where somebody who's in the contest had a giant gaping hole in his chest. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, so that's gonna happen. I mean, I figured it was gonna happen, but yeah. So I have that to look forward to, which is cool. But overall, out of all the games I played this year, even though, like I said, I haven't beat it, but I had the most fun while playing it. Whether it just be my time spent just enjoying living in the world, just, you know, seeing all the world storytelling, because, you know, you'll travel to certain places and then there'll be these side things like, oh, this thing happened here, and this is where a monster died, and he crystallized everything. And then, they have little brief backstories for that. But overall, Metaphor ReFantazio, as I kind of expected once the game got announced, was my number one game of the year. And, I would probably say, me personally, the best game that I played this year.
Oh yeah, facts. I mean, I showed you how many hours I put into that game. I was literally texting like every time something wild happened. But I guess my only quote unquote gripe would be that for certain support characters, it takes a little longer to build bonds with them. Now, which wouldn't be too bad if certain arts types wasn't connected to that person.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, like, it's gonna take a minute to get like the upgraded version of like the mage, because I think it's attached to Gallica, which is the fairy. But but building the bond with her is like it's based in the story. Yeah. So it's not like one of those you can just be like, hey, I ain't doing nothing today. It's one of those like it's story progression only. So it kind of takes a minute for that particular one. So it's like a couple of them like that, you know what I'm saying? To where like it's gonna take a while to get like that upgraded archetype, because you gotta have like a certain bond level with that particular character. But I mean, like, other than that, that's probably like my only like main gripe, and that was just only because like it was attached to like the archetypes I was trying to like fully upgrade. So yeah, they kind of put a little hindrance on that. But yeah, that's like my only, I guess, complaint or whatever about the game. But other than that, it's fantastic.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, another year, another gaming experience that we've had. As I said, so far 2024 has been a great year for games. Very interested to see what we're gonna look like with 2025. Of course, it's if you've been paying attention to the CES news, there's been leaks abound for the new Switch, so that's probably imminent. We'll see what that thing can do. Apparently, this is something else I heard, that Microsoft is gonna do another Xbox next year. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not sure how much stock I'd put in there. I wouldn't either. But yeah, before we get out of here, you got any closing statements or thoughts on this year?
No, I mean, like always, it was a fantastic year for video games. I do like the fact that we're actually getting like games for the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, you know what I'm saying? Like, even though, and I don't know why, because it still bugs me. I don't know why some of these people are still making games for PS4. Like, respectfully to everybody with like an Xbox One still in a PS4, like, we're never gonna like fully just get, you know what I'm saying, the current gen games if they still going back making, you know what I'm saying, games for like those. Like, them games ain't like, imagine trying to play Final Fantasy in a PS4.
Oh no, you gonna set your block up.
Gonna blow up. Like, it's not even gonna be possible. But I mean, that's like really like been my only gripe for the most part, like the last couple of years. But I will say, like, this year was, 2024 was a whole lot better. But 2025, it's gonna be interesting to see everybody's reaction when Grand Theft Auto 6 gets delayed again.
Yeah.
So that's probably what I'm looking forward to the most, is seeing the panic that goes on people's faces when you still can't play GTA 6, because they're gonna delay it until the PS6 come out probably.
So. I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah, I say, another year of gaming. We'll see what 2025 holds. Already some stuff already announced, but we'll see. But nothing else, we do want to appreciate y'all for watching. As again, this is our top 10 games of the year with honorable mentions. I'm Mike, that's Dom, and we will see y'all next year, maybe sooner, I don't know, we'll see, but we'll see y'all later. Peace.